The NiP fans have had their heart attack resolved. It was getting a little dicey towards the end there. We see a full 30 after a spectacular start from the Ninjas in pajamas. It was on G2's map pick. The Swedes managed to stabilize and take it home in a full 30-round game. Breaking it down with me, I have Janko Paunovic and Adam Freiberg, the dastardly duo, helping me understand this one, because it was looking like we were about to see, you know, a very clear dismantling of G2. On the CT side, they looked, floundering, they were lost, and NiP really had some solid structure on that T side. We get 11 rounds. Looks all good in the hood. And let's just focus on that first, Janko, the strengths of NiP's start. I mean, 11-4.
Yeah, I think the problem for G2 was, okay, they lose pistol 3-0 down, and then they have 2 good gun rounds, and you're thinking, okay, they're back in the saddle now, they've stabilized their economy a little bit, we got Kenny on the op, he's not on a CZ or anything crazy like that, but with a force buy of their own, NiP surprised G2 and take back control of the economy. And after that, they did a very good job on their T side of, changing the pace, having different types of executes, different types of ending the round. It was just a good T side from NiP.
Yeah, and that round 6 that you were mentioning, I know you said you have a way to demonstrate that. I don't know if we can bring that up. I'd be interested to see exactly what you're referring to. So round 6, this is when NiP had a weak buy, right?
Yeah, so this is an interesting one because you can see like the setup on the A bomb side. Kenny and Body, Kenny S has the op, he's in quad, Body is inside. The problem is, with the standard executes that you have towards that side, you smoke off highway here basically, and that disables like shocks to come over and provide some support. And that's why usually when they're on a weak buy, you play outside the site. You don't want to get isolated and potentially lose a gun. We can pause it again here. You can see exactly what happens to these players. Like Kenny's line of sight is completely blocked by one smoke. You can see Body lurking around the other smoke basically. But when the explosion happens, Kenny S is under a lot of pressure to hit his shot, because otherwise he just gets swarmed by the opposition. You can play it here. You can see like the ways they're going to come in. The site is through the smokes here basic, and there's also a potential for Body to be flanked, which is where Shocks is supposed to help him out. But since G2 loves playing a 2-1-2 setup with Shocks alone on mid, he does have to look out for it at least a little bit, which again doesn't leave enough support for Kenny inside the bomb site. Smokes disable you of having like a proper crossfire, and he misses one shot, gets overwhelmed. They trade 2 for 1, 4v3 for NiP with an op and the bomb down, and that's a very, very difficult retake for G2 to execute, even if they have the nades.
So what kind of utility was that from NiP? That was what, 2 smokes?
It was some smokes,
and
I think they also had a Molotov for a quad, which forced Kenny a little bit out of position as well. A couple of flashes, nothing too special. They did have enough utility to go for an execute, and then just when you're able to do that, you don't really need like AKs across the board. You can see that not everyone had a rifle, some players just had pistols.
Yeah, wow, that was pretty easy for the first half of NiP, of course, Adam, and I'll let you focus on the positives for now regarding that T side.
Yeah, just as the round played out there, I think that NiP, they seem to have really good communication, because in a stressed environment, some people might be too eager to push onto the site there through the smoke, but they really took their time, they threw their nades, and I saw they did the similar smokes a few rounds after, where they also waited a long time, they gathered up close, they had a pop flash into sight and caught off, I think it was NBK completely blind on the site. So I think it was very well executed by NiP. They seem to be on the same page, basically, how they, like when they wanted to push and when not to push. So it's a very good sign if you're an NiP fan.
And is this a good sign? Draken on the top of the scoreboard. I'm sure we can take a look at some of his highlights, but he's been such a hard to pinpoint AWPer, and I know as someone that is a fan of consistent AWPing, Janko, you have your questions surrounding Draken.
It could definitely be frustrating to watch at times, because he is one of those flashy AWPers. I mean, we all know the meme about the 30-degree angle and all of that. So at times, it's something that you want first and foremost is the consistency. So even if he can hit some of those flashy shots, when you see him miss an easy one, you're like, this has to be something that you hit 9 times out of 10, basically. But yeah, he had a good game. I think for NiP, they were a bit complacent because of a strong first half. In the second half, they could have closed this game out way, way earlier. They lost a couple of 5v3s, 5v4s, some very close rounds. And towards the very end, it seemed like G2 actually had the edge because they were mounting the combat.
Yeah, and that was the next question I had to ask. I mean, sure, NiP perhaps kind of got a little wobbly towards the end there, but G2 did seem to be playing a much better brand of Counter-Strike right as they started to come back once they were staring down the barrel of 15.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, being 14-4 up as NiP were, they won the both pistols, and from there on, you basically are saying like, let's get 2 more points. But
Right.
G2, they played very slow, they played methodically as well, but they also mixed it up. They had some fast rounds, they just pushed A main fast and could get an easy pick on A. So I really like the way that G2 approached Cash. I think it's a map still that they're very, very like, what do you say? They're very confident on, right?
Yes. Yeah.
But I don't know. It's still something about their CT side which I could see some more movement on the map. Maybe, you know, having 3 guys mid from round to round. Maybe not, you know, being so static, playing 2-1-2, which they usually do on their CT side. So there's definitely some things for them to improve. But in general, I think that G2, yet again, if they would have been out there by, say, 16-4, coming into Mirage would have been hard for them. But, you know, now maybe they feel that they're into the game. It was really close. They could have gotten it to overtime there in the last round. But yet again, NiP closed it out.
Yeah, yet again. I mean, look at that. I mean, look at the scoreline. We've seen that crawl closer and closer, and still we do see NiP close it out in a full 30 round, 16-40.
That was with them losing pistols, and I think it's also the fact when you look at the statistics for G2 in this game. I don't remember ever seeing a game go 30 rounds and the top ADR and lowest ADR are just 4 damage apart. It was like 68 and 64, which is something that's like super weird. It's like everyone was playing like on the same level, but not on a high enough level, right? Which is a weird thing to say considering a team like G2, there's usually a player that stands out.
Absolutely, yeah. We are now going to be starting to delve into Mirage because, you know, I think the general consensus was G2 had to win this map in order to take us to 3. Is that just because we have a lot of faith in the Mirage of NiP? I mean, we haven't seen that in an awfully long time.
No, I think it's more watching the game yesterday that the G2 played on Mirage. Okay. I don't know, we talked about, you know, having Apex in-game leading on a map like Mirage instead of Shoxy, since they haven't played it as much as the rest of his team. I don't know, it just feels like G2, they didn't really have a structured T-side. They did go up against Fnatic, and Fnatic, they are really good under Mirage. It's a comfort zone for them.
Sure.
But they now have Dennis in NiP, which has been a part of this Fnatic, probably have some sort of structure from Fnatic. So it's going to be interesting to see how NiP will approach Mirage now, if they will also like to, you know, have proper mid control. We saw Fnatic boost up a lot in window. I think that Dennis is a huge fan of that as well. But also for G2 side, what will they change from like the game that they played against Fnatic yesterday? What did they talk about? It's going to be interesting to see.
Interestingly enough, in the 10 matches they've most recently played against each other, Mirage hasn't popped up once. We haven't seen these guys play Mirage in almost a year.
Yeah, it wouldn't really be a pick for either of the teams in a first phase of a best of 3, and probably even vetoed out in the second phase. They had maps they would be more comfortable on. And that being said, when you look, for example, for NiP and their CT side, it's probably you wanting to use your utility early and make G2 end rounds late, because you wonder if they have the coordination necessary to really execute those splits properly.
You can see Shox is looking in the zone. No words being spoken by their leader. Of course, not on Mirage. We do have Apex on the microphone for the French. And we also have Pansy and Moses on the microphone at the casting bench. Let's check in with them.
How's the bench going?
I love the bench. Bench is great. Brings me back to high school.
Were you benched a lot?
Yeah, the substitute player.
Ouch.
Yeah.
Ouch. All right, well, speaking of the first teams, who probably aren't on the bench at all, it will be G2 and NiP. These two superstars in their own right. G2 with a bit of a rough start, you know what I mean? It's like you get right to the finish line and then you just trip over and fall, or Dennis just trips you over and makes you fall.
I mean, it's easy to like look at that and say, that, you know, they lost in the last round, but
hey,
really they lost.
Casted by Sadakis and Henry G. Who the hell are they?
Some scrubs.
Sexism in esports.
Well, Body's about to have some action towards his way. He's going to fall all the way back in towards CT spawn, retake onto this A bomb site, and everyone's so far back. Dennis has got great positioning. Rez and Draken pressuring towards CT spawn. This is going to be tough for G2.
Yeah, this is really tricky. They played retake on the first map as well, and it didn't go good either, but this time that is a far greater start. Body going to claim 2 of his own name. Rez and Draken go down as Dennis, Forrest, and Get Right to retain this, but look at Shox. Lingering around the back. Forrest has no idea this is even a possibility. It wasn't clean, it wasn't pretty, but it gets the job done, and Dennis and Get Right left alive. It is just on Dennis, and it does not matter. Great retake from G2. They really came back through on that one.
Give Body an assist on Forrest there. He gets those 2 kills in CT spawn that forces Forrest to try and help out towards the A bomb site, takes his attention away from the flank. Oh, this is so tough. You almost feel like this just can't happen. You can't lose 2 players in CT spawn without any kind of return whatsoever. Great, great kills from Body. Round clinching. That's 1-0 for G2.
Good start for them. Hoping they can bound back from that. Probably, I wouldn't say disappointing first map, but frustrating is probably the one that would be the best way to describe it after getting so close.
The plan's going to allow them to get the AKs into the 3rd round. You can see here, P250, some Deagles bought up. Rez still, I think that's a Glock.
Yes.
I think that's what it looks like. Great shot from Get Right.
That's a big entry. Going to make things a little bit trickier. Bomb going to head over towards A. But, I mean, they do have Deagles, P250s, but this is a decent rifle purchase on the other side. And that's great positioning from Apex. That could be a second as well if Rez stuck around any longer. You can see Shox closing in. As soon as they smell blood in the water, they are right there. The play comes out, and Dennis just crouches right on in, and Body gets pushed aside. Shox, though, beautiful control towards Forest. But while this happens, Get Right's trying to find the angle here to try and tame the beast, and he does. It's a 1v2. This is an expensive round for G2, but it's a win nonetheless.
3 kills, though. NiP's going to be happy with that. Force the rebuys, and I believe the AKs will come out here. And yes, they do. Dennis already buying up. They've got the money for it. They're going to be light on some nades. Draken goes down to the MAC-10. But 4 AK-47s, and with that MAC-10 purchase, the nades behind it is kind of what's the most helpful portion of that from Draken. So 2-0, and G2's already going to face their first test.
And we'll see how this one goes for them. It's been quite, close, contested so far already. 4 plays towards A this time. Kind of Kenny looking for a new angle towards middle, playing it a little through from the back of connector. Plenty of smokes up though, so NiP getting mid kind of for free, but they lose out on that kind of positioning towards A. Look at Body straight up looking for information, very far ahead of this. Get Right seems aware this is a possibility though.
Well, Kenny's not watching window. There's already a boost up. He's going to get back in a position, but Draken has such a huge advantage, even with just the MAC-10. Get Right's got to be aware. He shoulder peeks. Not able to win the fight, though. Shox inside the bomb site as well, and Apex is here. This is still going to be very tough for NiP to get in. Waiting for that smoke to disappear. Draken ready to pounce as well. Choosing not to come through quite yet. Now it clears. Now they can move forward. And Body off to the left. He finds Draken. That's a big kill. The remaining 3 players pushing up. Shox goes down with no response. They know where Body is. They're going to be aware Apex is already here. A crossfire set up across the A bomb site. 2 kills delivered by it, and Forrest is the last one left. 1 versus 3. Tapping away. He is still alive somehow. And maybe just by intimidation, they leave him alone.
He knows kind of where these players are, so there's no real big surprise factors. Now he knows for sure, but the HP's so low, and you can see NBK has got his way around, and it will be controlled. G2 there, kind of setting up the crossfires on the fly. It felt like that was a bit scary when they're coming through connector, but it was Apex towards CT coming back through, really created that nice crossfire.
That was huge. That's what won in the round, is that, like you said, impromptu crossfire under heat of the moment. They had to get that set up because Body was so isolated, and I think NiP was probably not aware that Apex was going to be there so quick. G2 had a very good jump on the situation to be able to get him into position. Still, though, 3 kills come out, keeping the money reasonably low. The 8-AP in Kenny's hands. Dangerous thing here for NiP is they want to get a couple more kills, obviously, this round to keep G2 in that pressured reset position. And again, presence aggressively on A ramp. That'll be something that NiP has to watch out and push back moving forward into this half, as Body did it in the previous round as well.
Yeah, nice work so far from G2, keeping all of NiP kind of at arm's length, not letting them even really get much of a step towards anything. Body still patrolling down by the ramp as well. There are 2 players on the other side of that smoke, but the one play towards middle that was coming through from Rez was already quelled by Apex. So, I mean, go down to Dennis and Get Right to try and maybe create something, get maybe a kill, get some guns away. Doesn't look like that's the case here. Kenny S gonna find Get Right, and it's Shox to claim Dennis. Good work on the SMG2 there from Shox to make sure he's building up those funds. For now, G2 keep things stable, keep it building, and the first real, well, I say first real, the next big fight, at least from NiP, can come in this round.
That was really nice from G2. All 5 players surviving. Shock's likely going to stay on the SMG. Even Body might be going aggressive if... Okay, Shox is going to buy nades now. I was thinking in my head, maybe just because he wants to rush something, wants to get into the action, not investing in the nades just in case he dies, but they do right at the end. Shox is going to cross over. Draken has a chance, and he does tag him up.
Well,
It's fast-paced one.
Yeah, it's quick. Look at Rez, look at Geralt. They are just powering straight through. And Chox is worse for wear. He was already the walking wounded, and now he's been put out of his misery and his body alone. But Apex is trying to get there to create that crossfire, to create the support system. This time it doesn't work. They break through. Geralt and Rez hitting the shots that count for now. And NBK and Kenny S are pretty isolated from this one. It's time to back off, really. There's no way you're going to get a step back through. And the quickening of the pace, catching off G2 a little there, worked out well for NiP, but we could still see G2, a couple of seconds difference. That could have been completely, a different look.
All those smokes in mid really denied information on how fast that hit was coming. Obviously, Shock's jumping through the smoke. Not a high likelihood that was going to work out, especially with only 17 HP, but it was Rez coming up through connector with the quickness to be able to take out the defender inside that 8 bomb set, the last one remaining. Get right adding a flank onto it. So even with the utility, even with the Molotovs, G2 not able to slow that down, and it's NiP who survived with 5 players and able to build up some money. And I don't think they're going to search for NBK. Right, happy to just make sure he can't move up any further. The op still lives, though, for G2, which is the best possible solution in that loss.
Yeah, for sure. The money's still obviously not bad for G2. They're still in an okay spot. Money's been building quite nicely. You had Shox kind of go farming with the SMG before, got a couple of kills. So let's have a look at this as well. It looks like we might be seeing a double orb coming out. That'll be fun. Obviously, one retained, one purchased. And, oop. I feel as though the timeout was maybe being considered. Didn't happen in the end. I think they're not used to having to vote for it rather than just doing the dot pause. But that's a different topic for a different time. For now, we are right into this one. 2 ops on the CT side, 1 in Draken's hands on the T side. And look at Apex already looking for a play to be made, but it's Kenny to strike first. And my God, does he strike well? But Apex hunting down his prey. Draken is completely unaware. And this could be a nice little knife to the back. Cash money made. Perfection from G2, showing that aggression can pay off well, but Rez might have found some room. No. Shock's 2 aware, and it's 2 alive now for NiP.
Well, thank God they didn't take the pause, because this round is going so well in their favor. Get right lurking up behind the smoke. He did hear those footsteps from Shox. Not going to be able to find him, and I think actually Kenny just shot Shox down to 64 HP, so there's some confusion coming out. Nades raining towards Get Right's position. He's going to be patient, waiting for Shox to peek into it. There's a good kill. And Kenny now, 9 HP, cannot be too aggressive. It's NBK they have to get past. He's got an op of his own. Molotov going to be in there, and actually that's a nice adjustment. Get Right peeked a little early. Dennis not ready to trade it out, and Apex now on Catwalk. G2 just assassinates NiP all across the map.
Slow-mo now. Knife sounds horrible, if I'm completely honest.
I liked it.
What's wrong with you?
I don't know.
We don't have the time. 5-1 though. Yeah, good display from G2 here. But I feel like, are we gonna get one of those games where it's all like one-sided halves? You know what I mean?
Well, if you look at it, obviously G2 got just started way too slow on cash, and they really picked up the pace, and it could just be something of first game of the day. Could have been needed a little bit of warm up. Maybe that first half was their warm up. We'll see. But at the moment, they seem to be piling on it. They seem to be much more confident and aggressive on Mirage, at least to start with. Apex again, just pushing up towards top mid. Surely this could surprise Get Right and Dennis.
This could be the downfall of this whole hit coming through. Depends on the time. Like if he goes wandering up, then it kind of stops the greatness of what could have happened towards Get Right and Dennis. But he can get in such a good position to backstab the other 3 coming on ramp. I mean, does Draken hear this? Slows down at the right time. Calls are gonna be made. And everyone's ready now. The only real kind of surprise is Get Right and Dennis. If they can maybe do something impressive, that could maybe get past it. But so much information has been given across already, and Apex is not even needed here yet. It's all going pretty well until this point. It's still a 1v2, but the positions are excellent coming out from G2, and they were so aware of everything that was happening.
All because Apex just pushed up mid, and that's a gap in the default setup for NiP. 2 players going underpass, 3 waiting outside A. No one was watching for that kind of a mid push that whole time, and Apex has information that entire round. NBK never needed support over at the B bomb site. He was all alone. Allows G2 to stack 4 players there, and it's really hard to take that bomb site when there are 4 defenders at so many different angles, so much aggression and utility being thrown out as well. So NiP back onto the pistols. They'll need to temper that aggression, and G2, that seems to be the game plan coming in here. We saw at the start there was a lot of players pushing down A ramp, Body and Shox both doing it. Now we're having Apex push underpass 1 round, now he's pushing top mid. NiP need to spread out in that default and just stop all of those plays.
This might be the discussion topic during this round for NiP. Only a couple of deagles, couple of P250s. Dink on MBK is pretty good. And the FOB's even better. Kenny S now has to be a little careful. It's always a bit worrying when you get swarmed when you have that ult, but bomb plant too. This is really nice stuff actually from NiP, making the best of a bad situation. I'm not sure how much more you're going to get out of it. Draken made a good attempt of it. Got a couple of kills, obviously, but nice stuff from them. But all in all for G2, they get another one on the board.
Yes, they do. 7-1. And now we're going to get a timeout. I think this one is from NiP, as obviously they need to talk things over. This is pretty much every single round G2's been able to get away with aggression on some part of the map, and that's got to be the discussion at the moment. Saw a lot of talk from, I think it was Dennis and Peta even a little bit, saying some of these young guys, some of these stars, Rez, Drake, and Force, they need to be unleashed. But this is where you need to put them back on that leash just a little bit and make sure everyone is watching a spot, make sure everyone is able to stop. You don't even need to win the fights, you don't even need to get the kills, you just need to show that you're looking for it so that Apex can't just push up mid every single round.
See if they can tame Apex, who's really, been such a big impact player. Shock's having a good game as well. I mean, that's scary. We saw what they could do in that second half on the first map. They really started to pull it back until Dennis just ruined everything. So I mean, 7-1, excellent scoreline for G2 here.
The only round that NiP has is when they came out with that blistering pace that pretty much negates any kind of aggression you want to do. You run right by it, and Apex again is going to push up here. Dennis is going to be there for the challenge. He's completely blind, and he goes down, trying to throw the counter utility. And now the hit on the A bomb site has to work. It's all that NiP has left.
Yeah, G2 are just turning the screws here. They are playing a really nice pace game, but NiP are finally out on the side. The bomb's not in a position to be planted just yet, so it buys time. It allows a little bit more room to work for G2. Draken trying to keep him pinned towards that connector area, looking towards jungle, trying to eye him up. Get Right takes up the next task as they line up a little in front of him here. If he swings on it, it's a bit risky, but he's readjusted so well. You can see the fire coming in from Drake, and he's flying in there. Big play from him. Flash comes out from Shox. It's high and makes him turn for the flash. He tries to catch him in the back, but a 1v2. This is where Shox can become such a terrifying player, but time is of the essence. He knows Draken's there, and he has absolutely destroyed G2 this round, but I mean, that was very, very close.
Yeah, G2 is very close to giving it. It's these kills from Get Right that secures it. First, Kenny with the AWP, no longer allowed the angle. Then here, as they swing out wide, gets one more. This isn't a 3 versus 3, so a really good find onto Apex. Even though he does eventually fall, he did his job. A second round for NiP, and again, it's fast-paced, and that's not a bad thing. If you're going to set up for an A hit, and all of a sudden there's aggression up towards mid, usually the assumption is that it's at least 2 players, so the A bomb site should be a little bit weaker.
I wonder if Apex and Kenny still go for the aggression. They are indeed doing it. Kenny up by short. Did get spotted, but he is completely just outdoing Drake in there. Rez getting into the game, though. That's good to see. He was having a quiet start. Only 1 kill thus far, but popping it up to 2. But a 4v4, and they've quelled the aggression now. At least in middle.
This is a big round for NiP. If they can win this, they'll force G2 onto a lower buy and maybe have a chance of evening up the score just a bit. There's going to be some follow-up aggression, it looks like. Body getting close towards A ramp. Mid control has completely gone over towards NiP. Out of smokes, though, is the Swedish side. They've got 2 Molotovs. Excuse me, 3 Molotovs. 1 just used. Some flashbangs. They're going to readjust back towards the A bomb site. But like I said, Body is already pushed down partially through A ramp and going to play inside the smoke.
No, we've already seen players die to Body's aggression, but this time it's Kenny S who's up for the fight. You can see him wanting to take it, and Body denying Forest means the bomb's now down. They have to recover that with 45 seconds, and a lot more of the G2 players on the way. Shox now in support, MBK en route, and it's down to Get Right in a 1v3. He's surrounded in all fronts. He tries to find one, but you can see them just poking out one by one, different angles. Impossible for him to deal with, and great work from G2. The play towards ramp was excellent, and the control from the others really coming in at the right time.
Yeah, that Body making that decision is huge there. Obviously, it's really fortunate for him that the bomb is dropped, but that spreads out the rest of this hit from NiP. No one playing together, and it's only Get Right who's really having a solid performance at the moment. 12 and 9 for him.
Where are the others?
Yeah, no one else has shown up. 3 and 2, Dennis and Forrest. And Rez, who had that big game on Cash, down at 2 as well. Tough times, and even G2 finding ways to be successful with aggression in the middle portions of the round. This is a much better looking G2 than what we saw in Cash.
Yeah, this is, I wouldn't say 9 days, just that first half felt so rusty and quiet, and you know, in the second half, we're like, all right, well, this is what we were expecting.
Here they are.
This is better. So it does feel from like half of Cash going forward, we've had, you know, the real competitive G2. We've always said those slow starters, they don't like the morning games. Normally they like, you know, a little bit more time to warm into things. So I mean, be it Factor or not, NiP do need to find a response now, though. It's going to start getting out of hand. And we'll have to see how strong their CT side is if they think they can compete here. Otherwise, Inferno would be on the horizon. But for now, it's 82. It's still early days. And Shox gets to enjoy that. 3 big kills for him. And Kenny is sleeping out with, I'm not sure at all. But it's fine.
Calm down, Kenny. Wanting to get into the action. Shox with a quad kill there. And again, NiP going to go back towards the AK-47s. Dennis already has his bot. Rez and Drake is following up. We'll see what they can come out with. It seems to be not able to really find success, NiP, on the slow-paced rounds where you try and look for picks, but more, it was a fast-paced round, it was an execute towards the A bomb site. Those are the kinds of rounds that they've won, both towards A, and they haven't even really pressured the B site. NBK's got to be feeling pretty lonely indeed. He's down at 5 kills, lowest on his team, but that's not due to any kind of bad game. That's just no attention being sent his way, and G2's comfortable keeping 3 players at this A bomb site right at the start. It's looking like that's the good read.
Body with a nice little deep angle on the ramp push. That's a shot you want to be hitting, though, and Shox, not looking like Shox. What has happened this round? Like, I mean, it's good from NiP, but some of these shots that have been hitting consistently for G2, and they've been playing very nicely individually, just ain't there, but Apex is. And look where Rez is. He's still pretty far away, so you can see instantly Dennis has to kind of take a second. Waits for support.
He got off the plant entirely as well. There's a good kill from Rez. Apex had to go find some information. Low HP as well. Easy kill. Yeah, that's strange. That's just some missed shots. I don't think Shox obviously didn't see that first player drop over him. There was, I think we saw the shadow, but I'm not sure if he noticed it at all. But that's very curious from NiP because I was looking at their utility when that hit was coming in. They only had like 1 smoke and 2 flashbangs. I don't think there was a chance in hell they were able to do that. But Kenny misses that shot on towards Palace as a player exits. Shox unable to connect, you know, over towards the top of a ramp. There were 3 players there, so that should have been secured. But such is life when you miss kills.
I like it.
Yeah.
Such is life when you don't land.
Those are the things that happen, Lauren. If you can't land the shots.
That's how I feel perpetually. So, timeout was called. Conversation was had. It's time to consider what NiP are up to now.
Conversations have been had. Discussions taking place.
Sweeping statements being made.
Well, it is that last buy at a G2, and no matter how desperate this half has looked at times for NiP, they really don't seem, it's curious that this is their pick, they don't really seem to have a very deep playbook that they've kind of reached into. Pretty much most of the focus has been at the A bomb side, and not even necessarily through mid control, it's been mostly just hits from this side of the map. Oh, Katowice sees the barrel. Oh, he shoots early, but he does find the kill through the corner of the wall. Oh boy.
Oh boy, indeed. Shox. Not gonna get away with it. Kenny S now just turrets. Stands on the tallest object he can find and just spins around. He doesn't actually get a kill. He almost got a follow-up down towards Geralt, who's down to 6 HP. That is so darn close, but it's actually worked out for NiP pretty well here. They've somehow negated going near Apex, who seems to be such a swinging, changing factor, but there it is. Shut out in the end, NiP, with what seems like only A hits. Finally get it right.
Yeah, Geralt's done him dirty. Good frags from him over towards the hall. Finds body. It was just the barrel of the op showing first, and then Shox right around the edge of that smoke and falling in, getting Kenny as well. So that's a huge performance out of one of the big stars historically for NiP. And they've done it. They've finally taken the economy away for G2, and there's no more aggression coming out in these rounds where we haven't seen Apex push in a while. We did see him get punished in underpass the previous time he tried it.
They've tamed the beast.
They've finally done it.
They've only gone and done it. I can't believe you've done this. Ugh, right. And I'm wondering what depth we have now from G2. I mean, like, sitting on 9 rounds is pretty good. Honestly, on the CT side, we know that their T sides look pretty nice. At least if we echo back to Cash. So I mean, that's in the back of your mind. But this is pretty solid from them. A little worried Forrest has gone quiet, Dennis is, a little quiet, Rez kind of fell off. Get Right having a big game is always enjoyable to watch, but I mean, you kind of want the young guns to be really stepping into this as well.
On the other side of it, though, you're going to be very happy if you're NiP and you really only have Get Right showing up in a big way, and you're still going to be, at 4 rounds right now,
Yeah.
a chance to get 6. Like, if you were to read these scores out to NiP and say you're going to be at 9-4 at a certain point, and this is going to be the stats we have, they're going to take that any day of the week. Now they just have to survive a force buy. Pistols bought up for G2. There's 2 rounds remaining in this half. If they lose this, it's going to be a very similar buy into the next round. So, desperation with these pistols. And that's Shox missing a shot. Get Right. Cautiously taking the angle. There's 2 there. He spotted him out. Molotov to force him off that angle. 4 players at the A bomb site. G2 has caught on to the trend.
I'm terrified, and you can see why. Shox and Body, tear 'em limb from limb, the CZs, the Deagles. It all comes out to play, and NiP look a little lost. They don't have that answer. Maybe they can make one up from Drake in here as he does strike towards middle, but the last 3 players, they're weaseling their way around. You can see him finding these deeper angles, awkward positions to play from, and the bomb is still left at ramp. Rez is terrified. I mean, you've got to let Drake and try and make a play here, try and find a way in, and the timing, he's not hitting it. Body just dancing right now. He's got 46 seconds to make something happen. Not going to get it. Shox is there, and now it's the 1v3 for Rez.
And they know where he is. They know they forced him back from this A ramp. That's a great flashbang coming through the smoke at the top of A ramp. Molotov seeing if anyone's on top of the pot. There's a good kill from Rez. Follows it up with a second as well. A couple more missed shots coming out from Body and Apex, and it's just Shox in a 1 versus 1. 20 seconds left. No time to go to this B bomb site. Rez is going to have to do something, and you think he needs to get into that bomb site to tap the plant to force Shox out of position, but Shox could be anywhere. So much time is being used by Rez to try and clear out Palace. That's where he thinks he is, and it's going to be a free kill. The wrong read from Rez after a great double kill, and somehow G2 come out on top of that round.
Ouch. That's pretty frustrating for the Ninjas, but great for G2. You stabilize, you keep things building back.
That's bad shot calling, though, from NiP. We've talked a number of times how the focal point has been towards this A bomb site. This is where you need to go towards mid. You need to go towards the other side of the map. You need to get away from the fact that you've hit the A bomb site for essentially 13 rounds.
I just like it, man. Hey, look, they've got Rez going B. Get Right, still towards ramp, and Dennis behind him with the bomb. Shox, Body's so attentive as well. You can see him just like super heavy pressure towards ramp. This time they actually catch him out. They're starting to read it back, I guess. Get Right just getting a feeling that this guy has been pushing me every round. He's always here, always close. But how'd you get rid of Shox? Kenny S. Apex has been there pretty fast on the rotate too, but I mean, for now, MBK and Apex are being kept towards B this time. I guess enough noise is being made by Rez that they can't just kind of insta-stack out towards A.
Well, NiP going towards the B bomb site. Apex is here. NBK is here. They've got 2 players, despite the fact that so much attention has been on the other side of the map. Shox and Connector. The timing of this. Drake and Juan. Well, he's got the op-out how he legs him, or tags him through the wall. Down to 28, and now a 4-on-2 here at this B bomb site. Everyone coming from halls. NBK in the site. Great initial headshot. There's Apex to protect him, keeping space between him and the pistol. They both do eventually fall, and it's a pretty even situation, and Forrest is just going to build on it. Kenny in a 1-on-2.
Don't put it past him. This man can do terrifying things. Full HP, AWP in hand, Deagle, 2 flashes. He spots out Get Right. He lands the shot on him, but he doesn't get the follow-up. A quick fight from Forrest will keep this one at least alive for now. A 10-5 half, however, is great news for G2. They had a tough, heartbreaking first map, but what a way to bounce back.
Yeah, great for them to get on the board and have a big lead. And NiP, despite some struggles, that's a good half for them as well. So we're set up to have a great game here in the second half. Stay tuned, and we'll finish it up.
Intel Extreme Masters.
It wouldn't be IEM Katowice if things didn't get a little spicy at this point. These two teams fighting not only to get to the stage, but merely to survive at this point. One of the two will go home at this point. G2 never being able to step foot on that stage. NiP, some of those members remembering the roar of the crowd and wanting to experience it once again.
And it wouldn't be IEM without legendary performances from legendary players. Shocks for G2 and Get Right for NiP leading the way for both their teams. Get Right with a hard carry, 17 and 13 for him. Draken is the next closest with 9. Shocks at 21, next closest at 13. So those two guys have been competing at the highest level for a long time. It's good to see them at the top of the scoreboard. 10-5, G2 starting on this T side in the second half. And it's the pistol round. All 5 players with armor, all 5 players towards the B bomb site. Rez and Forest gonna get some attention. They'll be able to hear this a long way away.
I was worried that I was like, Jason, that's a SPO deck on our screen. It's very different, but yes, some rather bouncy boys heading over towards B, just hopping along. Good trade so far, but eventually it's G2 to just kind of push forward. Body to find Rez, creates huge space. Bomb gets planted. 4 players in really good off-plant spots for now. Apex gonna get info. You're gonna see the swing from MBK. Dennis actually spotting out 2 players though. That gets a bit worrying. He has still got 5 bullets in the clip too. Apex though coming into his own, finding Dennis. Good trades again. G2 never going unanswered here.
It's crazy. This happened yesterday on this map for NiP as well when we watched them. It seemed like they had, you know, the advantage with long range on Catwalk with those USPs against the Glocks, but the Glocks just winning out in the end. So many players to shoot at, the kills don't come out quick enough. NiP gonna buy into this second round. There's no finesse there for G2. Just a straight up rush. Everyone invested here for NiP. Scout onto Draken. Deagles are out, 2 CZs as well. Looking like they might be able to run away with this one, although similar scoreline in the first map, and G2 is able to make a comeback. Rushing towards the B bomb site again. This could be deadly. No kill coming out for Rez, though. It's just Force. Kenny's low. He's not going to swing into the site. Can't even find the kill. Does adjust. Finds a second. Oh! How did he get that one? I have no idea. Dennis and Draken are here, and there's damage done. This is possible because now the CZs get involved. Now Dennis is here, and he is the pistol god. He's found Kenny now in a 3-on-2.
Daddy Dennis is here to just tell off the kids. Look at him running in. That CZ doesn't get away with though. And Apex, where do those bullets just go? Oh, the Glock is doing enough. He saves the day by the absolute skin of his teeth. And G2 live to fight for another round. But my God, that was a little messy.
That was scrappy if I've ever seen it.
Where's this shot, right? Pardon, Mr. Forrest? There's a box there.
I don't think people thought you could shoot through it at that angle. We've learned a lesson now.
Like, you're just bending bullets at this point. Like, all right.
Well,
12-5, Jason.
Yeah, well, another investment from NiP, and I don't mind this as well when you're down this much. Take the risk because you can see what's bought up. Shocks is actually saved. He's only on a pistol, and they have 2 MAC-10s. They're going against armored opponents who have CZs and utility, and this might surprise them. There's an opening kill from Rez and Dennis as well. Yeah, I think G2 is caught off guard by this. And now NBK and Body will go down. The nade and the CZ of Dennis, he's got 3 kills in the round, and he's just closed this one up. NiP shocks G2 would be the headline for this round. I actually didn't mean to make that pun off his name. It's just because of the surprise. I'm not that clever, I assure you.
I literally just like, there's something inside
I don't even
there.
think that would have been really that clever because that's been done before. So it's overplayed.
Yeah, but no one remembers things. You realize that? Like, we're all kind of... Wow. Almost got a little close on Get right there, 7 HP. But it's done. Any more smart puns you've got coming up?
No, I'm actually a little bit ashamed of that one. I'm not going to try it again.
You're ashamed of it?
I am a little bit.
Never be ashamed of your intelligence, Jason. You embrace it. Don't you let anyone tell you otherwise. We're all proud of you here. 12-6. NiP, it's a lifeline, right? It's a window of opportunity. We haven't seen the strength that we saw coming, you know, we saw the resurgence of G2, right, when it came in on Cash, and it looked very strong. It looked like you had Body starting to go up. Well, you know, all the key win conditions were really falling into place for G2. I'm not sure if we're seeing that yet for NiP, so I don't want to get, you know, excited by it. I want to see how this kind of unravels, as we do see another B hit coming in here, or at least for now, it looks like from G2.
NBK gonna lead the way with the MAC-10, and only Forrest is here. Rez is pushed up aggressively on Catwalk. Forrest has to do a great job. There's the opening kill. Gotta survive for longer, wrapping around. Good kill from Body, but again, it's just the MAC-10s that have fallen. Now the AKs can get involved. Rez almost takes down Kenny, but they've held back the retake. They're buying some time to get the better positions, and there's the AKs. 2 of them chiming out. Let's just get right. 1 versus 3. He's had a great game so far, but surely In an H pass, you would think this was possible. Next, speaking up at the windows, giving GetRight the opportunity to win it, but can't handle the spray. So that's a 13th, and that's a quick response to the one-round win that NiP had. And they might have to force buy into this again if they want to go for it.
Wondering what the game plan is going forward here for NiP. It does feel like this just it isn't quite in their map pool yet. We saw at least a little bit more, diligent approach on Cash. It felt a little bit better. Especially, I'm looking mostly at the T side here. The way they approach this seems very one-dimensional for now. I think this does take time. It's a team who's been together, able to play for about 1 week. So I mean, you're not expecting that fully fleshed out sort of approach yet. But I mean, you're hoping you see more maybe going to that final map here. But G2, they're going to be warming up, and we'll see what they can bring in these final couple of rounds. 13 already, looking good for them here. The Deagle is connecting. Shock's down to 29. Draken on the other edge of that smoke. Certain potential there.
Oh, great counter spam from Apex. Here's the shots ringing out. Takes the fight. GetRight's going to pick it up. Although the rest of G2 has fallen back. And NBK now with the MAC-10 finds a quick kill onto Rez, which is good. He doesn't take too much damage. He can try and chase down Forrest if he wants. Forrest is alone here. Dennis on a big flank. Forrest is trying to land some shots. Not able to complete. So many players on G2 with low HP, but none of them falling.
Yeah, all very much alive and well. Pardon, Dennis? Do you mind? It's just...
Rude?
Yeah, pretty much. Gets himself an AK though, which is pretty nice. Shocks could be a bit of a hindrance to keep in hold of that. He spots him out though. Dennis, really nice awareness to not just kind of walk straight out, but it doesn't seem to matter. You've got MBK on 3 HP, Shocks on 2. Kenny down to 16, but a round's a round, and that's going to be 14 as well. A big round on the board for G2 coming in here, and great to see them rebounding so well and so strong as well. It's not like it doesn't look weak, it doesn't look weary, it looks really quite conclusive on this map for now.
And NiP's been force buying into these rounds. Keep that in mind. I mean, they're really fighting for everything, wanting to gain control of this early on, and it just hasn't happened. So you imagine if they've been force buying in all these rounds, they might as well go for it again here. Just haven't been able to sustain well enough to get the real weapons out to actually fight with some powerful, the AWPs. We haven't seen those. We haven't seen a whole lot of M4s, so it's been tough for NiP as they try and barely hang on in the second half, and it's not looking like it'll happen. Famas on GetRight, he does have a kit and 4 CCs around it, and even though they have the extra utility, these AKs should be able to overcome this. And I think G2 now, they got surprised the one round, but they have to know that a force buy is coming out again.
Shocks. Testing the walls by B. Bomb is well over by A at this point. You've got Kenny, Apex, MBK setting up the smokes, but you can see them backing away from this. So MBK is kind of being fed into the machine a little bit, kind of letting them get the idea, get the feel, and look at what it's done. It's put the 4 players for NiP to be really dedicated towards the A site, and leaving it down to Forrest. The man, the myth, the dead. Moved over. Shocks. He's here, and he's putting on a real nice game. He's having a huge performance. As you said, it doesn't feel like an IEM, or especially Katowice, if you're not having some of the classics really show up. And seeing Shocks having a nice performance, feeling confident, getting that aim going, really good to see.
You gotta be scratching your head for the NiP side. They really haven't had anyone show up in this game, despite some of the big-time Map 1 performances. They still really only have GetRight. It's gonna be 15-6. Dennis would love to hang on to this AK-47. He's being hunted all across the map. Dennis and Shocks coming from one side, Kenny and Apex the other, but they're still very far away. Good kill. He knows Shocks is there. That's a great sequence. Kind of pointless kills or useless kills at the end of the day, but does he fight behind him? Does he hear these footsteps? Kenny, there it is. And actually, Dennis gets one more right at the end of that.
Yeah, he stayed alive and he got the kill. So, pretty impressive work from him. And yeah, that was a nice little follow-up towards Rez. Keep in mind, that was obviously a lower buy for NiP, and they can, again, try and force some fashion of a purchase here, but he is doing real work, Shocks.
Shocks is another player, much like his counterpart on the other team, Forrest, who just makes this game look so beautiful when he's having a great game. Like the aim, the sequence, the follow-ups, even the opening kills, the taps, it all looks great. He's one of those guys that makes you jealous he's able to do those things.
It does look, indeed, effortless in his hands. And again, the B hit coming in. It's like, all right, well, NiP, you like A, we'll show you how to go B. We'll show you there's a whole other side, a whole new world to this map as Dennis tries to make his way out. The individual power does take down Shocks, but it's not enough to quell the rest of the forces coming through. And it's just, again, get right in the 1v3. Swings in, does find Kenny, but to find the other two, is it possible at this point? No bomb plants. Spams in. And Apex says, no, it's G2 bounding back and in some fashion. A 16-6 scoreline really doesn't tell the tale of the first map. It just shows that G2 are warmed up, they're ready, and they're looking like they want to take this into the third now.
A whole new team. This just became a series, and NiP has got to be a little bit shocked. Both teams taking their opponent's map picks. Third map coming up, and it's no better than Inferno. We'll see it play out when we return right after the analyst desk.
Intel Extreme Masters.